I don't think that there's anything wrong with mystical experience, right? Paul has it. Paul says that he knew a man. I mean, I think we all agree. Everyone agrees that when Paul says, I knew a man who went to the third heaven, he's talking about himself, right? So Paul had this mystical experience. Yeshua comes to him and speaks to him, right? So there's not anything wrong. And we have, throughout the Bible, we have all these different people. You know, Moses had all these mystical experiences. You have all these people having mystical experiences. There's nothing wrong with having a mystical experience. I think what the problem is, and what is idolatry? That's really the real question. Idolatry is the idea that we can somehow control God. That if I say a prayer this way, if I give my idol this fruit or whatever, if I give him a gift, then I'll catch that spirit while he's, coming to get the gift, and I can then manipulate him into doing things for me. What I think is wrong with the mystical experiences that you have from the Hasidic offshoots and Hasidism in general, and then also from, and I hate to step on toes here, but also from the charismatic movement. We have a little bit of this going on, not to the same extent by any means, but you have this idea that if I am in a worship service and the Spirit will come on me, I'll speak in tongues, that gets me closer to God. There's 2 points here. Number one, mystical experiences cannot be forced. We should wait for God to give us the mystical experience. If he never does, then so be it. But we shouldn't try to do things to gain a mystical experience. That, in my mind, is idolatry. And not only that, but it opens the door for other things than God-given mystical experience. So that's number one. Number two is that we can't. A person who has a mystical experience is not necessarily closer to God than a person who doesn't. Just because Paul had a mystical experience doesn't necessarily make him more spiritual and closer to God than the person who didn't have that mystical experience. And I think that we should also remember that we think of a mystical experience as some awe-inspiring, mind-blowing, third-dimensional, kind of fourth-dimensional, whatever you want to say, kind of experience that's just totally mind-blowing. Out-of-body experience, whatever. I think that we have a mystical experience every time that we pray. It doesn't have to be mind-blowing. It doesn't have to be out of this world. It doesn't have to. The fact that we can enter into the presence of the Most High through Yeshua, the true Tzaddik, and we can commune with God, that we have been cleansed by the blood of the Messiah Yeshua, and able to once again commune with God, that in and of itself is a completely mystical experience. And if you don't see that, something might be wrong.